We have a massive Bucks free agency update to go over today as a brand new report has dropped revealing the truth behind Brook Lopez's future in Milwaukee that changes everything for the way that this team is going to prepare for this offseason coming up. We're also going to break down an interesting report surrounding Kevin Porter Jr. A ton of updates to go over today, as well as a few other things on this episode. But before we get into it, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. If you want to help us towards the goal of 5,000 subscribers, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys again for continued support. Now, ladies and gentlemen, earlier today, we had a big report surrounding Giannis Antetokounmpo and his future in Milwaukee and how everything changed for that whole incident, or that whole scenario. And, the incident of him initially, some rumors about him requesting a trade, all that was put to bed and put to rest. For now, ladies and gentlemen, it seems that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to remain a Buck at least for the foreseeable future, and at least that's what the recent report is. But within all of that, and kind of lost in all of the Giannis stuff, is a report surrounding Brook Lopez leaving the Milwaukee Bucks. Brook Lopez is likely to leave the Milwaukee Bucks in free agency per HP Basketball. That said, I'm not expecting, this is the exact quote, the roster to look the way it does now. The team is likely to retain Kevin Porter Jr., and most everyone I've spoken to assumes Brook Lopez is gone. Lopez might be one of the bigger names on the free agency market. So this is pretty big news. Now, of course, we know Brook Lopez is, he's a long-time Buck. He's, fan favorite to a degree. But this team now, with Brook Lopez seemingly gone, this update is very important. Of course, all the focus was on Giannis and how he's going to remain, and if he remains in Milwaukee, if not, what they do with Brook. And of course, if they would have traded Giannis and Antetokounmpo, we all knew that they would probably let Brook Lopez go. But now, with Giannis seemingly returning to Milwaukee, it becomes interesting to see what happens with Brook Lopez specifically. Because with Brook Lopez, he's played with Giannis for so long. They won a championship together. The Bucks have minimal players on their roster. And we'll have videos coming out and other targets and things like that. And of course, Kevin Porter Jr., we'll dive into that update in a minute about how he's likely to return, which I think is, albeit, all things considered, pretty good news. But Brook Lopez is going to be leaving Milwaukee in free agency. And of course, he's an unrestricted free agent. He has the right to leave, and he's going to probably, go to, there's a lot of rumblings. So we'll dive into some teams that he might go to just to see if the Bucks can kind of match up with him. But Brook Lopez is gone. According to Matt Moore of the Action Network, Lopez is likely not to return. And again, he says Lopez might be one of the biggest names in the market. He's certainly at the end of his career, but like Al Horford, he's a complete pro and a winner who's easy to fit into a team culture and find a role for. And he still makes a difference defensively night to night. And I want to ask you guys this question, because with the way now, we can, at least for the foreseeable future, for the next week or two, until a new report drops from Shams or something like that, we can operate under the assumption that Giannis Antetokounmpo is staying in Milwaukee. And if we are operating under that assumption, who do you think, A, are you upset or happy that the Bucks are letting, Brook Lopez go? Clearly, they either want to get younger or they want to just try something different. They have guys like Jericho Sims they can work around, assuming he returns, all these different things, assuming they don't do anything with him. There's a lot of, young centers they could go out and try to acquire. We know, Walker Kessler's available, though I don't think the Bucks have the assets to acquire him. But if they let him go, what do you think the Bucks do about the center position? Because at this point, the team is bare bones right now. And of course, assuming Giannis stays, the pivot has to immediately be to making this team somewhat competitive. Dame is going to be out most of the year. Let's say you bring Kevin Porter Jr. back, which we'll dive into in a minute here. You bring Gary Trent Jr. back, for instance. Your team still isn't very good. And I don't, not to hate on the Bucks or anything, there's not very good. And Lopez was a very underrated contributor. Averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks a game. It was a very good shooter, and it can't be understated the importance of having a stretch 5 behind, along with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And there was times where Brook was unplayable in the playoffs because of how slow he is. It gets abused in the pick and roll, although he's a very good rim protector. Having a center who can shoot threes to pair with Giannis Antetokounmpo is very important. Now, Giannis did develop a very good mid-range game this past year, but you can see this here. The Bucks may be looking to get younger in the front court, which would leave Lopez to find a new team. If he doesn't come back to Milwaukee, there will be no shortage of teams interested in his services. Milwaukee also has to figure out the plan for Jericho Sims, which could be part of the why Lopez may not return. Lopez has been instrumental to the success of the Bucks in the recent years and the championship, and if he does leave, he'll be missed by the organization, and there's no doubt about him being missed. But I think if they're trying to get younger and maybe trying to get more athletic and change the way that this team is structured, because they've been kind of an aging team. You think about their starting 5. Dame 34. Gary Trent Jr. is not old or anything like that. Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, guys like that. In theory, you could have Bobby Portis playing the starting 5, though I don't think that that's a scenario that Bucks fans would want, and I don't think that's a winning scenario either. But Brook Lopez, seemingly gone, you have to assume they're going to pivot to a guy like Jericho Sims, but they're probably going to need to get somebody else. Now, whether that's in the free agency market, whether that's on the trade market, again, the Bucks are in a bit of a dire spot to the point where they're really going to have to make some sneaky signings here, some sneaky trades to be able to improve this team, especially if You're letting guys like Brook Lopez walk. And I don't think letting him walk is the wrong decision either. Like, this team can't win, I don't think, with the current structure, even with Giannis back. And, Brook Lopez has been a part of the team. He's gotten slower, still an extremely good rim protector, but he's gotten slower over recent years. And he put up a good scoring season last year. He's going to be turning 37. But you look at the games played, and that's one of the biggest things. He's been with Milwaukee for almost a decade now. He started almost every game. I mean, first season he got there, 81 games he started, 70 games. Of course, injury riddled 2021, 2022, 78 games in 2022, 2023, 79 games, 80 games last year. Like, this isn't just a role player that they have to replace, like a Taurean Prince or something like that. This is a guy who's been starting for a decade almost for this team, has been an extremely important player. A defensive player of the year finalist 2 years ago, an all first defensive team, all NBA team. He's an extremely crucial player to this team, and it's going to be difficult to replace, but they have to, right? They have to find out a way to replace him, because at the end of the day, like, the Bucks aren't in a scenario where they can, continue to acquire and re-sign aging assets. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. A couple teams that are interested. You can see here, those are a few teams, according to reports, that are interested. The Lakers obviously desperately need a center. The Mavericks, you don't need a center, but, the Lakers, the Warriors are another fit with, over there, because they don't really have a big center. Like, there are teams that could use a big body center who can block shots. The Lakers being a big one, the Warriors being a big one. The Bucks, like, they do, but at the same time, they can figure it out with Jericho Sims and just let him play, because at this point, I don't think next season, no matter what they do in this offseason, is going to be a year where they can compete for a championship. And maybe I could be proven wrong. You're capable of anything with Giannis. Like, the pairing now is Giannis and Kuzma. That's the big two, and then you figure out the rest from there. And Kuzma being your second option, unless he takes a step forward like he did in Washington a few years ago, it's going to be very interesting there. But the second part of this report, which is intriguing, is about Kevin Porter Jr. Now, you can see here the Bucks are likely to retain Kevin Porter Jr. Now, KPJ had a very good season for the Bucks. Of course, they acquired him at the deadline. He was the backup point guard off of the bench, or shooting guard, depending on what you want to call him. He played shooting guard mostly for the Bucks. 11 points a game. I mean, I was impressed. He was very efficient. He was very solid. Of course, he's been very good earlier on in his career with the Houston Rockets, with the Cleveland Cavaliers in his rookie season. Didn't play, went overseas in the EuroLeague for 2023, 2024. He is very solid, and I'm happy that they're bringing him back. I don't know if he's a starting point guard necessarily, but they don't have any other option. So unless they go out and they get somebody else, they're going to be rocking Kevin Porter Jr., and for all intents and purposes, let's assume Gary Trent Jr., and let's assume this is the starting lineup right here, maybe with Jericho Sims at the starting five, and you play Bobby Portis off the bench. It is maybe a 5-6 seed in the East just because of Giannis, but I mean, if Kevin Porter Jr. and Gary Trent Jr. have, breakout seasons, like, they're both capable of being very good scorers, and then you have Kyle Kuzma, let's say he puts up 20 points a game, you can see some upside there, but it's not a lot of upside. And of course, their defense is going to be putrid. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr., bad defender. Gary Trent Jr., capable defender, but not always great. Kyle Kuzma, poor defender. Bobby Portis, poor defender. Giannis, very, very good. One of the best in the league defenders. You're kind of getting carried by Giannis here. And that's going to be the storyline of this season, is getting carried by Giannis, because assuming he returns, things are going to get interesting. The Bucks have to make some moves. Brook Lopez is gone. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know down below what your thoughts are. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.